All right, so let's handle this word problem here where it looks like we're, dealing with some geometry. I see a couple of geometric words, but everybody, I'm going to open up this question with a pop quiz question, and it's going to be, what am I supposed to do first with any word problem at all? What am I always supposed to do first? Yeah, we're supposed to read the question sentence first. Now, when I say that, everybody, especially those of us who are here for your first class, I don't want you to think, oh, yeah, I'm going to read, yeah, for sure, front to back. Yeah, that's not what I mean. When I say read the question sentence first, I mean understand the goal of the question. What is it that I want to end up with? What's the outcome? What outcome am I trying to achieve? And here it says, how many square feet of laminate flooring are needed to cover the classroom? One more time, let's go ahead and just hover around that for a second. How many square feet of laminate flooring? So that's what we care about. How much laminate flooring do we need? But everybody, quick question. Does that right there, how much laminate flooring we need, does that in and of itself explicitly tell you what math we need to do? Does that open up, a giant sign to say, yeah, do this? No, it doesn't, right? It doesn't. So what do you do in a word problem where it's not obvious what you need to do? This is where the conversation of keywords really comes in. And by keywords, it's not just about the math keywords, it's also about the story's keywords. So the story is telling you to focus on laminate flooring. And when you think about the story, you want to think about if there are any keywords that can get you from the story to the math. Let me show you how I like to go ahead and go about it. I know I'm looking for how much laminate flooring, and I'm going to ask myself, what are we doing with the laminate flooring? Everybody, one keyword is here. We're covering the classroom. Another keyword, the bigger keyword, the more guaranteed keyword, is square feet. So let me go ahead and show you right over here the rectangular classroom. I'll go ahead and just show that since they said rectangular classroom. And everybody, really quick, answer this. If I were going from this corner all the way around one lap, what word do you think of? Do you think of perimeter, area, volume, surface area? Which word really comes to mind? If I'm starting from one corner and I'm just taking one lap. Yeah, that's perimeter. That's the distance around the shape. That's not exactly what's happening here. We're covering the classroom. We're not painting around the classroom. We are covering the floor. Everybody, what math or geometric idea do you recognize that as? If we're covering a surface. Yeah, that's area. And this is where confidence comes into play. I don't want you to say, oh yeah, this one thing always, every single time, memorize. No. In this situation, we noticed that we're trying to cover the surface of a rectangle, and we want to know the value of covering all of that. Another way that we can really sink in the confidence is, again, the square feet. In case you didn't know this, perimeter will always just be regular units, straightforward, one-dimensional. It's distance. When you look at area, you're always going to be given square units. I'm just using feet for this example, but that could be meters, kilometers, inches, could be whatever. But again, when it comes to perimeter, that's distance, it's going to be regular units. When you're looking for area, that's square units. And the simple reason is this. Let's go ahead and say I have my length over here, 21 feet, like the problem says. And then we have our width, which is 12 feet. Everybody, we've identified that we're looking for area, so I don't think I need to pander to you anymore when I say that the area is length times width, and that'll be 21 times 12. So let's go ahead and take care of business. But before I do, I'm going to show you what we're actually calculating, and that's going to be 21 feet times 12 feet. That's going to be important in just one moment. First, let's calculate 21 times 12. Right there. 1 times 2, 2 times 2. Then from there, 0, and then we have 1 times 1, and 2 times 1. We add everything up and we get 252. So we have 252, which is great. But let me ask you this, everybody. Feet times feet. Think about it like this. If I were to do 5 times 5, yeah, that's 25. But you could write that as 5 squared. At the same time, we could have something like x times x. That's also x squared. Everybody, if I had feet times feet, how could we write that? 252 feet squared. And so look at that. When you're calculating area, you're always dealing with square unit. So the moment that this question sentence said, how many square feet? That's the dead giveaway that, yeah, we're calculating area 100%. It could be area or surface area, but we know for a fact that we're calculating area in this problem. And because it's just a rectangle and not like some 3D crazy shape, we know it's just regular area. And so to calculate or to finish things off here, yeah, the correct answer here is answer choice D, 252 square feet. Next problem up. So as we take a look here, we always want to begin, I'm going to say this a million times, we want to begin with the question sentence. So here it says, how much more does she need? All right, sounds good. So whenever we're talking about how much more or what's left or what's remaining, everybody, what operation are we typically going to want to think of? Again, right there, how much more? What operation does that really speak to? Yeah, subtraction. Now let's prove it. Let's make sure, because we're not going to hinge everything on just 3 words. Let's figure out what the story is telling us is going on so we can make an appropriate decision. So here, let's read. A recipe calls for 9/10 of a cup of cream, and Ava only has half a cup. How much more does she need? Okay, so again, it says that Ava needs this much, 9/10, and she has half a cup. So if we subtract what we have from what we need, we'll get the gap. We'll get what's left. So what she needs is right there. So now all that's left to do is just go ahead and subtract. So to be careful about it, just remember, everybody, we want to make sure we have the same denominator, and we don't have that yet. We don't. So because we don't, we'll need to get that. To get the same denominator, we'll ask ourselves, hey, does the smaller number go into the bigger number? And if it doesn't, then, well, we'll work on what number they both multiply up to. But in this case, 2 can definitely go into 10. Everyone, how many times does 2 go into 10? That'll be 5 times. 2 times 5 is indeed 10. And we can absolutely go ahead, multiply by 5 on the bottom and the top right here. And once we do that, we are good to go. Watch. We have 9 over 10 minus 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Look at that. We have the same denominator and we're good to go. So let's get after it. 9 minus 5, what will that give us, everybody? Yeah, 9 minus 5, that's going to give us 4. Don't forget to keep that same denominator, which will be 10. So we have 4 over 10. But I don't exactly see 4 over 10 as an answer choice. I see 4, I see 10, but I don't see 4 over 10. So what does that mean, typically? Yeah, typically that means we're going to have to simplify. Typically what that means is we're going to have to simplify. So let's go ahead and do that. 4 and 10 have a common factor of 2. That means I can divide a 2 out of 4, and I can divide a 2 out of 10. Watch what happens. Divide by 2 up top and on the bottom. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And there we are. Our correct answer for this one of my party people is going to be answer choice D, 2/5.